The Great Hall on Nexus Prime buzzed with activity. Representatives from 12 different alien species sat around a massive circular table. Each creature looked different from the others. Some had scales, some had fur, and others looked like walking machines. But they all shared one thing. They all served the Galactic Dominion. Admiral Vextar stood at the center of the room. His blue skin gleamed under the bright lights, and his forearms moved quickly as he worked the holographic controls. The Zilonian had conquered more worlds than anyone else in the room. His reputation struck fear into entire star systems. "Look at this pathetic display," Vextar said with a laugh. The hologram showed Earth floating in space, surrounded by small satellites and space stations. These humans still use chemical rockets to reach their own moon. Their biggest warships are smaller than our shuttlecraft. The other representatives started laughing too. High Chancellor Morden, a creature that looked like a giant spider made of metal, clicked his mechanical legs on the floor. "Are we really wasting time discussing these primitives? My species was building starships when these humans were still living in caves." Captain Zulkar, a reptilian warrior from the Sarkoth Empire, hissed in agreement. "My scouts report they still fight wars with metal bullets and chemical explosives. They know nothing about energy shields or plasma weapons. This will be easier than taking candy from their young." The hologram changed to show Earth's military forces. Rows of tanks rolled across the ground while primitive aircraft flew overhead. Nuclear submarines moved slowly through the oceans, and missile silos sat ready on different continents. To the alien leaders, it all looked like ancient technology. "Their space defense is even worse," Vextar continued. "A few orbital platforms with kinetic weapons, some satellites armed with nuclear warheads, and less than 50 ships that can barely leave their solar system. My grandmother could conquer this world with a fishing boat." More laughter filled the room. The representatives shared stories of other primitive worlds they had conquered. Most had surrendered without firing a single shot once they saw the Dominion fleet. The smart ones became slaves. The stubborn ones became examples for others. "Hi." Chancellor Morden raised one of his metal arms for silence. "The question is not whether we can conquer Earth. The question is whether it's worth the fuel to get there. These humans have nothing we need. No rare minerals, no advanced technology, no special abilities. But they do have something," said Ambassador Crix, a floating gas creature that spoke through a translator device. "They have been sending radio signals into space for over a century. Other primitive species might think the Dominion is weak if we ignore them." This made the room grow quiet. The Galactic Dominion ruled through fear. Every species in the galaxy knew that challenging them meant death. If word spread that some backwater planet had been ignored, it might give others the wrong idea. "Very well," Morden decided. "But we won't waste a full invasion force on these insects. Captain Zekmore, take a patrol fleet. 3 cruisers and a dozen fighters should be more than enough. Make it quick and make it public. The rest of the galaxy needs to see what happens to species that don't submit." Captain Zekmore stood and saluted. He was a Dominion officer who had overseen 37 planetary conquests. His gray skin bore the scars of many battles, and his red eyes showed no mercy. "It will be my pleasure, Chancellor. Should I bother demanding surrender first?" "Of course," Morden replied. "We are civilized beings. Give them 72 hours to consider their options. When they refuse, destroy their major cities and military bases. Leave enough survivors to spread word of our power." The meeting ended with more laughter and jokes about human weakness. The alien leaders went back to their ships, already planning victory celebrations. None of them bothered to study the intelligence reports more carefully. None of them noticed the strange energy readings coming from Earth's moon. None of them wondered why such a primitive species had been so quiet for the past 50 years. Meanwhile, on Earth, Admiral Sarah Chen sat in her command bunker deep beneath NORAD Mountain. The room was filled with screens showing data from around the world. Military personnel worked at their stations, their faces tense but determined. They had been preparing for this day for decades. Chen was 60 years old with gray hair and steel in her eyes. She had served in the military for 40 years, rising through the ranks as Earth slowly learned the truth about the galaxy. The first contact had not been friendly first meetings like in old movies. It had been crashed alien probes and intercepted communications revealing a vast empire that enslaved entire worlds. "Admiral," called out Colonel Martinez from his station. "We're receiving a transmission on all frequencies. It's from the aliens." The main screen flickered, then showed Captain Zekmore's scarred face. His voice was cold and emotionless as he spoke in perfect English. "Primitive humans of Earth, I am Captain Zekmore of the Galactic Dominion 3rd Fleet. Your world has been selected for integration into our empire." Chen watched calmly as the alien continued his speech. "You have 72 hours to surrender. Unconditionally. Disable all military forces and prepare your leaders for transport. Comply, and some of you may live as laborers. Resist and your entire species will be eliminated." The transmission ended, leaving the bunker in silence. Around the world, similar scenes played out in other command centers. World leaders called emergency meetings. News stations broadcast the alien message to billions of terrified people. Stock markets crashed, and panic buying emptied stores. But Admiral Chen remained calm. She walked to a special console that only 5 people on Earth were authorized to use. The screen displayed a single message: "Project Titan, standby status." Her hand hovered over the activation key as she spoke to her communications officer. "Send a message to all Titan facilities," she said quietly. "Authorization code, Phoenix 77 Alpha. Begin final preparation sequence." Around the world, hidden bases came to life. On the far side of the moon, massive doors that had been disguised as crater walls slowly opened. In deep space, objects that looked like asteroids powered up their systems and revealed themselves as advanced shipyards. Underwater facilities that had been built in ocean trenches activated their defensive systems. For 50 years, while the Galactic Dominion laughed at Earth's primitive technology, humanity had been working in secret. They had collected every piece of alien wreckage that fell into their hands. They had studied crashed probes and intercepted transmissions. They had learned the enemy's technology and made it better. Chen looked at the countdown timer on her screen. 71 hours and 36 minutes until the deadline. More than enough time to spring their trap. "Let them come," she whispered. "Let them see what humans do when we have time to prepare." Outside the bunker, ordinary people went about their lives, not knowing that their planet's greatest secret was about to be revealed. The age of hiding was over. The age of the Titan was about to begin. Captain Zekmore stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Dominion cruiser Shadow of Victory. Through the massive windows he could see the blue and white marble that was Earth hanging in space before them. His patrol fleet had just dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the solar system, exactly 72 hours after delivering their ultimatum. "Report," he commanded his tactical officer. Lieutenant Varin, a young Zilonian with bright green skin, worked quickly at her station. "Long-range sensors detect the expected primitive defenses, Captain. Multiple orbital platforms around their homeworld, armed with what appear to be kinetic weapons and nuclear devices. We also have several dozen small warships moving to intercept us." Zekmore laughed, a sound like grinding metal. "Kinetic weapons and nuclear bombs? How quaint. These humans are even more backward than our intelligence suggested. Status of their surrender transmission?" "No surrender message received, sir," reported Communications Officer Tralix. "In fact, they're broadcasting on all frequencies telling their population to prepare for war." "Excellent," Zekmore said, cracking his knuckles. "I do enjoy it when they fight back. It makes the conquest more satisfying, all ships battle formation. Let's show these primitives what real warfare looks like." The 3 Dominion cruisers moved into attack position, their sleek hulls bristling with energy weapons and missile launchers. Each ship was 500 meters long and carried enough firepower to level a continent. Behind them, 12 fighters, spread out like hunting hawks, their pilots eager for combat. As they approached Earth, the human fleet moved to meet them. Admiral Sarah Chen watched from her bunker as her conventional forces prepared for battle. On her screens, she could see the enemy ships clearly, They were beautiful and deadly, their advanced technology obvious even from this distance. "Human ships, this is Earth Command," she broadcast. "You know what you're facing. Make every shot count, and remember, you're buying time for the rest of humanity. Give them everything you have." Captain Rodriguez of the UES Washington led the human fleet. His destroyer was one of Earth's most advanced conventional warships, equipped with railguns, nuclear missiles, and the best armor human technology could build. He knew it wouldn't be enough, but he also knew his duty. "All ships, weapons hot," Rodriguez commanded. "Target the lead cruiser. Fire everything we have on my mark." The battle began with humanity's best effort. Nuclear missiles streaked across space toward the alien ships, followed by railgun rounds moving at incredible speed. For a moment, it looked like the human attack might work as explosions blossomed against the enemy vessels. But the Dominion ships sailed through the atomic fire without a scratch. Their energy shields absorbed the nuclear blasts and deflected the kinetic rounds. The advanced alien technology made Earth's weapons look like stone clubs against steel armor. "Is that it?" Zekmore asked, genuinely disappointed. "I've seen more. Impressive fireworks at children's parties. Return fire. Target their largest vessels first." The alien response was swift and devastating. Plasma cannons that could melt through asteroid chunks fired at the human fleet. Energy beams that could boil oceans reached out across space. Within minutes, 3 human destroyers simply vanished, vaporized by weapons they couldn't understand or defend against. Captain Rodriguez watched his comrades die and felt rage build in his chest. "All ships ramming speed. If we're going to die, let's take some of them with us." But even human courage wasn't enough. The UES Washington and her sister ships charged at the enemy, firing everything they had. Zekmore's fleet picked them off, one by one, like hunters shooting fish in a barrel. Within 20 minutes, the entire human conventional fleet was destroyed. Zekmore opened a communication channel to Earth, his face appearing on screens around the world. "Pathetic humans, you see now the power of the Galactic Dominion. Your weapons are toys compared to ours. Your ships are made of paper. Submit now, and I might allow some of you to live as slaves." In her bunker, Admiral Chen watched the destruction of her fleet with a stone face. Around her, officers wept for their fallen friends and family members. The alien captain continued his speech, demanding immediate surrender and threatening to destroy Earth's major cities. "Your 72 hours are over," Zekmore announced. "I will give you one final chance. Lower your shields, power down your weapons, and prepare for boarding. You have 30 minutes to comply." Chen looked at her tactical display. The alien fleet was moving closer to Earth, positioning themselves to attack the major population centers. Everything was going according to plan. "Ma'am," called out Colonel Martinez. "Titan 01 reports ready status. All systems green, weapons charged, crew standing by." Chen nodded and walked to her special console. Her hand hovered over the activation key as she spoke into her communicator. "Titan 01, this is Earth Command. The enemy has rejected our surrender and demonstrated hostile intent against civilian populations. You are authorized to reveal yourself and engage." On the far side of Earth's moon, massive hangar doors that had been disguised as natural crater formations slowly opened. What emerged was beyond anything Captain Zekmore had ever seen in his decades of conquest. The UES Titan 01 was a monster of engineering, nearly 4 kilometers long and bristling with weapon systems. Its hull was made from materials that seemed to bend light around them, and strange energy patterns danced across its surface like captured lightning. The ship moved with impossible grace for something so massive, its advanced engines leaving trails of blue fire in space. "Sir," Lieutenant Varn called out, her voice cracking with fear. Massive energy signature emerging from behind their moon. "It's bigger than anything in our database." Zekmore stared at the human ship in shock. "That's impossible. Our intelligence said they were primitives. How could they build something like that?" Before he could finish his thought, the Titan fired its main weapon. A focused beam of antimatter energy reached out across space and struck the Dominion cruiser Sword of Conquest. The alien ship didn't just explode. It simply ceased to exist, vaporized down to the subatomic level. "Evasive maneuvers!" Zekmore screamed. All ships, return fire! But the human ship moved like it was dancing. Plasma bolts and missile salvos that should have destroyed it passed harmlessly by as the Titan twisted through space. Its secondary batteries opened fire, sending streams of superheated plasma that cut through Dominion shields like they were made of paper. Captain Marcus Rodriguez, commanding the Titan, opened a channel to the alien fleet. Attention, Dominion vessels. You came to our home expecting to find helpless primitives. Instead, you found soldiers. This is your only warning. Leave now, or join your friend in whatever comes after death. Zekmore watched in horror as another of his cruisers exploded under the Titan's guns. His fighters were being picked off by point defense systems that tracked targets with impossible precision. In less than 10 minutes, his supposedly overwhelming force had been reduced to his flagship and 3 fighters. Retreat, he ordered. All ships, emergency jump to hyperspace. As his damaged ship fled toward the edge of the solar system, Zekmore sent an emergency message to Dominion Command. This is Captain Zekmore. Earth conquest has failed. The humans have advanced warships. Repeat, the humans are not primitives. Request immediate reinforcement. Behind him, the Titan drifted silently in space, its weapons still glowing with residual energy. Admiral Chen's voice echoed in his ears as his ship jumped to hyperspace. Tell your masters this. Earth remembers every world you've conquered. We've been watching, we've been learning, and now we're ready to take the fight to you. Emergency meetings were being held across Dominion space. On every major world, military commanders and government leaders gathered in secure rooms, all asking the same question. How had a primitive species like humanity built such an advanced warship? Admiral Vextar stood before a tribunal of angry alien leaders in the Great Hall of Nexus Prime. The holographic displays around him showed the recorded battle footage over and over. Each time the Titan destroyed another Dominion ship, the representatives grew more furious. Explain this disaster, demanded High Chancellor Morden, his mechanical voice echoing through the chamber. You assured us these humans were primitives. You said they posed no threat to the Dominion. Vextar's forearms trembled as he worked the controls. Our intelligence was based on decades of observation. Every probe we sent, every communication we intercepted, every piece of data we gathered showed a species barely capable of reaching their own moon. Yet somehow they built a ship that destroyed 3 of our cruisers in minutes, hissed Captain Zulkar. A ship using technology we don't recognize. A ship that moves faster than anything in our fleet. The room fell silent as they watched the battle footage again. The human vessel moved through space like it was alive, dodging weapons fire that should have been impossible to avoid. Its own weapons cut through Dominion shields and armor like they were made of tissue paper. There must be an explanation, said Ambassador Crix, her gas form swirling with agitation. Primitive species don't suddenly develop advanced technology overnight. Someone is helping them. Our thoughts exactly, Vextar replied. We've launched a full investigation. Intelligence teams are analyzing every piece of data we have about Earth and the surrounding star systems. Meanwhile, on Earth, the truth was finally being revealed to the world. Dr. Elizabeth Hoffman stood before the United Nations General Assembly, addressing representatives from every nation. Behind her, massive screens showed images of hidden facilities and advanced technology. Ladies and gentlemen, she began, for 53 years, Project Titan has been humanity's greatest secret. Today, with our survival no longer dependent on hiding, I can tell you the complete truth. The screens showed the first alien probe that had crashed on Earth in 1972. It had landed in the Sahara Desert, and its technology was decades ahead of anything humans had built. Instead of announcing the discovery, world governments had decided to study it in secret. We didn't invent the technology you saw destroy the Dominion fleet, Dr. Hoffman continued. We collected it, piece by piece, over 5 decades. Every crashed probe, every piece of debris from ancient space battles, every component we could purchase through black market traders. We gathered it all. The presentation showed hidden facilities around the world, deep ocean research stations, where scientists had reverse-engineered alien propulsion systems. underground laboratories in Antarctica, where energy weapons had been developed, lunar bases disguised as research outposts where the first Titan ships had been built. The Galactic Dominion made one critical mistake, Dr. Hoffman explained. They assumed that because we couldn't build advanced technology, we couldn't understand it. They were wrong. Humanity's greatest strength has always been our ability to adapt and improve. The screens showed side-by-side comparisons of alien technology and human improvements. The Dominion used energy shields powered by fusion reactors. Humans had built the same shields using more efficient antimatter power sources. The aliens had plasma weapons that required massive cooling systems. Human versions were smaller, more powerful, and could fire continuously. Every piece of technology on our Titan ship started as something the Dominion built, Dr. Hoffman said. But we made it better. We made it stronger. We made it faster. While they grew comfortable ruling their empire, we spent decades perfecting their own weapons. In his intelligence office on Nexus Prime, Commander Thralks was reaching the same conclusions. His team had been working around the clock, analyzing every scrap of information about Earth and its surrounding space. "Sir," called out his assistant, a young crystallic named Zevin, "we've found something disturbing. Look at this pattern of debris recovery in Earth's solar system over the past 50 years. The holographic display showed dozens of incidents. Alien ships that had suffered mechanical failures and crashed on asteroids. Probes that had been lost in space battles centuries ago. Even intact systems that had been sold by corrupt Dominion officials to black market traders. They collected everything, Commander Thralks realized. Every piece of our technology that fell into their hands they studied and improved. We've been unknowingly arming them for decades. The investigation revealed the full scope of human preparation. While the Dominion had been watching Earth's primitive surface fleets, humanity had been building their real navy in secret. Shipyards hidden behind asteroids, manufacturing facilities on the far side of their moon, research stations disguised as mining operations. "How many ships do they have?" Thralks asked his team. "Unknown, sir," Zevin replied. "But based on energy, signatures were detecting throughout their solar system. At least 30 vessels of similar size to the one that attacked Captain Zekmore. The news sent shockwaves through Dominion leadership. 30 Titan-class ships would be enough to threaten entire sectors of their empire, and if the humans could build 30, they could probably build more." Back on Earth, Admiral Chen was addressing her own council of military leaders. The time for secrecy was over, and the world needed to know what they were truly facing. "The Galactic Dominion controls over 3,000 star systems," she explained. "They have enslaved hundreds of different species and destroyed countless civilizations. Their military consists of over 50,000 warships, supported by millions of ground troops." The numbers were staggering. Even with their advanced technology, humanity was still vastly outnumbered. But Chen had a plan that went far beyond simple survival. Project Titan was never just about building ships to defend Earth, she continued. It was about building the tools we need to free every world the Dominion has conquered. For too long, this galaxy has lived under their boot. It's time to change that. She activated a holographic star map showing the local sector of space. Dozens of systems were marked in red, all controlled by the Dominion. But there were also systems marked in yellow and green. Our intelligence network has been in contact with resistance movements on 17 different worlds. They've been waiting for someone strong enough to challenge the Dominion. Now they have that someone. The plan was ambitious beyond anything humanity had ever attempted. They would strike at key Dominion facilities, disrupting their supply lines and communication networks. They would provide weapons and support to resistance movements on enslaved worlds, and they would use their technological advantages to level the playing field against a numerically superior enemy. "We're not just fighting for Earth anymore," Admiral Chen concluded. "We're fighting for every species that has ever been enslaved by the Dominion. We're fighting for freedom itself." In the hidden shipyards behind Earth's moon, work continued, around the clock. The secret was out, and there was no turning back. Humanity had revealed itself as a threat to the established order of the galaxy. Now they had to be strong enough to survive what was coming next. Dr. Hoffman ended her presentation to the United Nations with a simple statement that would echo across the stars. The age of hiding is over. The age of liberation has begun. High Chancellor Morden had not reached his position by accepting defeat. The mechanical spider-like creature stood in his private war room, surrounded by holographic displays showing the entire galactic dominion. His red optical sensors glowed with rage as he studied reports from across his empire. The humans destroyed an entire patrol fleet, he said to his assembled commanders. Word is spreading to every system we control. Resistance movements on a dozen worlds have already begun increasing their activities. If we don't crush these primitives quickly, we'll face rebellion across the entire galaxy. Admiral Vextar shifted nervously in his chair. Chancellor, perhaps we should reconsider our approach. The humans clearly have advanced technology. Maybe we could negotiate. Negotiate? Morden's voice rose to a shriek that made every being in the room flinch. The Galactic Dominion does not negotiate with insects. We will gather our greatest fleet and reduce their entire solar system to cosmic dust. Fleet Admiral Kolvax, the Dominion's most experienced military commander, stepped forward. The massive Braktar warrior stood 3 meters tall, his rock-like skin scarred from 100 battles. Chancellor, I volunteer to lead the assault. Give me the Grand Armada and I will end this human rebellion before it spreads. Morden's mechanical head turned toward the warrior. How many ships? 300 capital vessels, Chancellor. 50 dreadnoughts, 100 cruisers, 150 destroyers, plus supporting fighters and bombers. The largest fleet the Dominion has assembled in 2 centuries. The other commanders murmured their approval. The Grand Armada was the Dominion's ultimate weapon, reserved for only the most serious threats. It had conquered entire sectors and destroyed civilizations that dared to challenge their rule. Excellent, Morden said. But I want more than just victory, Kolvax. I want these humans to suffer. Destroy their military forces, yes, but leave some of their cities intact. I want survivors to tell the galaxy what happens to those who defy us. It will be done, Chancellor, Kolvax replied with a salute. How long do I have to prepare? 1 standard month. Use that time to gather intelligence, plan your attack, and coordinate with our ground forces. When you strike, it must be absolutely decisive. As the meeting ended and the commanders dispersed to their duties, none of them noticed the small maintenance drone quietly working in the corner of the room. The device looked exactly like the thousands of similar robots that kept Dominion facilities running, but this one had been modified by the Zilonian resistance cell on Nexus Prime, and every word of the meeting was being transmitted to rebel bases across the galaxy. Within hours, the encrypted message reached Earth through a network of hidden relay stations. Admiral Chen read the intelligence report in her command bunker, her face grim as she absorbed the implications. 300 ships, she said to her staff. That's 10 times what we faced in the first battle. Colonel Martinez looked up from his tactical display. Ma'am, our current operational strength is 37 Titan-class vessels. Even with our technological advantages, those aren't good odds. Chen nodded. Which is why we're not going to fight them here. Status report on Operation Breakout. Dr. Hoffman stepped forward, carrying a datapad filled with technical specifications. All Titan ships have been equipped with the new hyperdrive systems. We can move our entire fleet to any system within 500 light-years in less than 6 hours. And our target selection? The intelligence network has identified 12 key Dominion facilities, Dr. Hoffman continued. Supply depots, communication hubs, and military bases that support their operations in this sector. If we hit them all simultaneously, we can cripple their ability to coordinate the assault on Earth. Chen studied the holographic star map that appeared in the center of the room. Each target was marked with detailed information about its defenses and strategic importance. The plan was risky, but it was their only chance to level the playing field. How long until the Grand Armada reaches Earth, she asked. Based on their fleet composition and standard Dominion hyperspace routes, approximately 4 weeks, replied Commander Singh from the intelligence section. Then we have 3 weeks to complete Operation Breakout and return to defend our home, Chen decided. All Titan commanders are to report for final briefings tomorrow at Oro 800 hours. Meanwhile, on the prison world of Kethva, the news of humanity's victory was spreading like wildfire among the enslaved populations. The planet had once been home to the proud Altarian civilization, but they had been conquered by the Dominion 3 centuries ago and turned into a labor camp for mining rare minerals. Jaktar, leader of the Altarian resistance cell, gathered his followers in the abandoned mine shaft that served as their secret meeting place. The lizard-like beings whispered excitedly as he shared the intercepted communications from Earth. The humans destroyed 3 Dominion warships with a single vessel, he told them. For the first time in 300 years, someone has made the oppressors bleed. But what does this mean for us? Asked Sevna, an elderly Altarian who remembered life before the conquest. Even if these humans can fight, they're still just one species against the entire Dominion. Jaktar activated a small holographic projector, showing images of the human ship that had fought the Dominion fleet. Look at this vessel. Study its design, its weapons, its capabilities. This is not the work of a primitive species. The humans have been preparing for war. The resistance members examined the hologram carefully. The Titan's advanced technology was obvious even to beings who had been denied access to modern science for generations. Its weapons were more powerful than anything they had ever seen, and its defenses seemed nearly impenetrable. I've received a message from the human leadership, Jaktar continued. They want to establish contact with resistance movements across the galaxy. They're offering weapons, supplies, and technical support to any group willing to fight for freedom. The reaction was immediate and passionate. Altarians who had spent their entire lives as slaves suddenly saw hope for liberation. Similar scenes were playing out on dozens of worlds across the Dominion, as news of humanity's victory inspired oppressed populations to believe that change was possible. On Earth, the final preparations for Operation Breakout continued around the clock. In the hidden lunar shipyards, the last of the Titan-class vessels were receiving their final upgrades and equipment checks. Each ship was a masterpiece of human engineering, combining the best of alien technology with innovations that made them superior to anything the Dominion had ever built. Captain Rodriguez stood on the bridge of his ship, the UES Retribution, watching his crew make final preparations. The vessel was the latest addition to the Titan fleet, incorporating lessons learned from the first battle and improvements suggested by the other commanders. Captain, called out his tactical officer. Lieutenant Park, all systems are green. Hyperdrive is ready for jump, weapons are charged, and the crew is at battle stations. Rodriguez nodded. Good. Signal the other ships that we're ready to begin. Throughout the solar system, 36 other Titan-class vessels reported similar readiness. The fleet represented humanity's greatest achievement and their only hope for survival. In less than 24 hours, they would jump to hyperspace and begin humanity's first offensive operation against the Galactic Dominion. Admiral Chen made a final inspection of her command ship, the UES Liberation. The vessel served as the fleet flagship and coordination center for the coming operation. Its advanced communication systems would allow her to coordinate with resistance movements across multiple star systems while directing the Titan fleet in battle. Admiral, reported her communications officer, we're receiving confirmations from resistance cells on all 12 target worlds. They're ready to provide local intelligence and coordinate ground operations. Excellent, Chen replied. And our diversionary forces? Ready to transmit false signals suggesting our entire fleet is still in the solar system. The Dominion should believe we're preparing for a defensive battle here. Chen smiled grimly. Let them come to Earth looking for a fight. By the time they realize we're not here, their entire supply network will be in ruins. The countdown to Operation Breakout had begun. In less than 1 day, the war would expand beyond Earth's solar system. The Galactic Dominion was about to learn that humanity wasn't just capable of defending their home, they were capable of taking the fight to their enemies. Fleet Admiral Kolvac stood on the bridge of his flagship, the massive dreadnought Eternal Dominion. Through the armored windows, he could see the rest of the Grand Armada stretched out in perfect formation. 300 of the most powerful warships ever built, crewed by the finest warriors in the galaxy. Sir, reported his navigation officer. We'll drop out of hyperspace at the edge of the human solar system in 30 minutes. All ships report ready for battle. Kovacs nodded, his stone-like features showing no emotion. He had studied every piece of available data about the human ship that had destroyed Captain Zekmore's patrol fleet. The vessel was impressive, certainly more advanced than expected, but it was still just one ship against his entire armada. Deploy fighters and bombers as soon as we exit hyperspace, he commanded. I want overwhelming force applied immediately. These humans won't have time to coordinate any defense. What about their surrender, sir? Asked Captain Morval, his second-in-command. There will be no surrender, Kovacs replied coldly. High Chancellor Mordoun was very clear. This rebellion must be crushed completely. Any survivors will serve as examples to the rest of the galaxy. The Dominion fleet dropped out of hyperspace in perfect formation, expecting to find a desperate human defense waiting for them. Instead, they found something completely unexpected. Earth's solar system was almost empty. A few orbital platforms remained around the planet, along with some civilian ships, but there was no sign of the advanced warship that had defeated the previous attack. Sir? The sensor operator called out, confusion clear in his voice. I'm not detecting any major military vessels. The humans appear to have left. Impossible, Kovacs snarled. Scan the entire system. Check behind their moon in the asteroid belt, anywhere they might be hiding. But the scans confirmed what they already knew. Earth's defenders were gone. The planet sat helplessly in space, protected only by automated defense platforms and a handful of conventional ships that posed no threat to the Grand Armada. Admiral, reported the communications officer, we're receiving a transmission from the planet's surface. The main screen flickered to life, showing Admiral Chen sitting calmly in what appeared to be her command bunker. Behind her, human military personnel worked at their stations as if they weren't facing imminent destruction. Fleet Admiral Kovacs, she said with a slight smile. Welcome to Earth. I hope you enjoyed your journey because it's going to be your last. Kovacs stepped forward, his massive frame dominating the bridge. Human female, you are in no position to make threats. Your fleet has abandoned you, your planet is defenseless, and you face the greatest military force in galactic history. You're right about one thing, Chen replied. You do face the greatest military force in galactic history, but you're looking in the wrong direction. Before Kovacs could respond, emergency alerts began sounding throughout his fleet. Communications officers on every ship reported the same impossible news. Dominion facilities across 12 different star systems were under simultaneous attack by human forces. The tactical display showed the scope of the disaster. Supply depots that had operated for centuries were being destroyed. Communication hubs that coordinated entire sectors were going offline. Military bases that had never been threatened were sending desperate calls for help. How is this possible? Kovacs demanded. Our intelligence showed only one advanced human vessel. Admiral Chen's smile widened. Your intelligence was 50 years out of date. While you've been conquering primitive species and growing complacent, we've been building the tools we need to tear down your empire. The reports continued flooding in. On Vexlar Prime, a major Dominion supply depot had been completely destroyed by human ships that appeared without warning and vanished just as quickly. The Zelthka communication hub, which coordinated military operations across 3 sectors, had been reduced to floating debris. Most shocking of all, the prison world of Kethva was reporting a full-scale rebellion. Human ships had delivered advanced weapons to the enslaved populations, and the Altarian resistance was overrunning Dominion control centers across the planet. You see, Chen continued, we learned something important about your empire while we were studying your technology. It's big, it's powerful, but it's also fragile. Cut the right supply lines, disrupt the right communications, free the right enslaved populations, and the whole structure starts to collapse. Kovacs turned to his tactical officer. How many human ships are we talking about? Unknown, sir, came the terrified reply. Each attacked location reports between 3 and 5 vessels, but they move so fast and hit so hard that our people can't get accurate counts. Conservative estimate puts their fleet at over 30 capital ships. 30 ships, Kovacs repeated. Against our 300, Those are still favorable odds. Are they? Chen asked, having heard every word through intercepted communications. Your 300 ships are here, threatening one planet. Our 30 ships are out there, liberating dozens of worlds and destroying the infrastructure that keeps your empire running. Who do you think is winning this war? The fleet admiral realized the trap he had fallen into. The humans had never intended to defend Earth conventionally. They had used their home planet as bait, drawing the Grand Armada away from the systems it was supposed to protect while their real fleet struck at the heart of Dominion power. Sir, reported his communications officer, High Chancellor Morden is demanding an immediate status report. He's receiving reports of attacks throughout the Empire. Before Kovacs could respond, new contacts appeared on his sensors. 37 human ships had just dropped out of hyperspace behind his fleet, moving in perfect formation. At their head was the UES Liberation, Admiral Chen's flagship. Attention Dominion Fleet, came a new voice over the communication system. Captain Rodriguez of the UES Retribution spoke with calm authority. You came to our home expecting to find helpless victims. Instead, you found soldiers. Your supply bases are destroyed, your communication networks are down, and your prison worlds are in open rebellion. The human fleet moved into attack formation with precision that impressed even veteran Dominion officers. Each ship was a masterpiece of engineering, combining advanced technology with human innovation. Their weapons systems powered up, sending energy readings that made Dominion sensors scream warnings. You have one chance to survive this encounter, Rodriguez continued. Order your fleet to stand down, power down your weapons, and prepare to be boarded. Any ship that attempts to fight will be destroyed. Kovacs laughed, a sound like grinding stone. Human, you face 300 ships with 37. Even with your advanced technology, the mathematics are not in your favor. You're right, Admiral Chen replied from the surface. 37 ships against 300 isn't a fair fight. It's not nearly enough of a challenge. The first shot was fired by a Dominion cruiser whose captain decided to test human defenses. A plasma bolt that could have leveled a city struck the UES Retribution directly. The human ship sailed through the blast without a scratch, its shields absorbing energy that should have vaporized it. The return fire was devastating. The Retribution's main gun, a focused antimatter beam, reached out across space and removed the Dominion cruiser from existence. The explosion was so complete that not even debris remained. All ships, Admiral Chen commanded from her bunker, you are weapons free. Show them what happens when you threaten Earth. What followed was the most one-sided battle in galactic history. The human ships moved through the Dominion formation like sharks among minnows. Their weapons cut through advanced alien shields and armor as if they were made of paper. Their defenses turned aside attacks that should have destroyed them. The Titan-class vessels had been designed specifically to counter Dominion technology, and they performed exactly as intended. Every system on the human ships was an improvement over the alien equivalent. Their engines were faster, their weapons were more powerful, their shields were stronger, and their crews were better trained. Captain Rodriguez watched his tactical display as Dominion ships disappeared one after another. Target their command vessels first, he ordered. Take out their coordination and their fleet becomes a mob. Within an hour, the Grand Armada had been reduced to floating wreckage. Fleet Admiral Kovacs found himself alone on his damaged flagship, surrounded by human ships that could have destroyed him at any moment. Dominion vessel. Admiral Chen's voice came through his communication system. This is your final warning. Stand down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. Kovacs looked around his ruined bridge. Half his crew was dead, his ship was crippled, and his mighty fleet had been swept away like dust. For the first time in his long military career, he felt something he had never experienced before. Fear. I surrender, he said quietly. Good, Chen replied. Captain Rodriguez, secure the survivors and their ships. We'll need them to carry a message back to the Dominion leadership. As human Marines boarded the remaining Dominion vessels, Admiral Chen made one final broadcast to the galaxy. Her words were picked up by relay stations across known space and transmitted to every world under Dominion control. To every enslaved species in this galaxy, she said. Today marks the